Thank you for joining me today. We just had company leave. They were here for a little bit less than a week. We just had my son's 3rd birthday. So the house is a little bit of, like an after company wreck. It's not terrible, but I have a lot of laundry. Luckily, it was my mother-in-law and she did dishes and helped with cleaning and vacuuming. She is awesome, but I still have a lot of things to catch up on. So I did a little bit of laundry, so I'm gonna head over to the laundry room now and finish that. So this is all I've got done so far today. I've got the guest room sheets and linens and things already washed, and I gotta throw those in the dryer. And then I have to take these clean clothes upstairs as well. And my husband and I just went on a little overnight trip, so I gotta put our bag away. And yeah, let's get started. So this is going to be my very first YouTube video. So I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but I've had a lot of requests to get a YouTube channel up and running. And right now I just have a couple shorts on there. I was just playing around with some editing and what all YouTube allows and doesn't allow, and the logistics of all that. So if you have any tips and tricks or any feedback for me, please let me know in the comments. And of course, hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. So right now I'm just doing my laundry. Normally I'm doing like sort of artsy like recipes. I edit those together to kind of make it quick and easy to save a recipe and see how it's done. So it's kind of easy to see how to cook it later. So that's like my normal, that and cleaning. So my other, the other videos that I normally put together, let's just put this on bedding, more dry. There we go. So the other videos I normally do, are the cleaning videos. So I do a lot of that. So this is new to me, just trying to figure out how to make my content a little bit longer. And I think maybe my day-to-day sort of schedule and how things work around the house for me, and how I try to keep things tidy in this chaos. That should be a good fit, because then I can show you what I make for lunch for me and my toddler while my daughter's at school. And I can show you some of the chores we do, and also a little bit more about my gardening, because I do organic gardening. One of the things I did with our yard, because we live in Southern California, so we have a lot of lawn and we are short on water. So I have a lot of spots that are sort of yellow and they don't grow too well because it's been pretty hot and dry. And I went ahead and planted a bunch of clover seed. I'll show you what that looks like here in a few minutes, because it's been a couple of weeks now, and the clover is now germinating and starting to do its thing. So what clover does is it puts nitrogen back into the soil, and the grass, the lawn, really likes that nitrogen. So it works in tandem. Also, the clover will have flowers, little white flowers in this case, and the bees love that. So the bees will come and they'll pollinate my fruit and veggie plants so I can get a better yield. The better pollinated the plants are, the bigger the fruits and veggies are. So that was my main thinking. Also, clover uses less water. So that's a huge thing here in California. Let me show you. Toys are everywhere. So this spot here under the slide, it got a little trampled on over here from the party, because this is where the kids were sitting. So luckily I planted a lot of clover. As you can see, lots of clover. I just put down a lot of white clover seeds in the shady spots, so it looks like I'll probably have to redo this here. The kids were kind of picking some of the baby clover, so I'm just gonna have to put some more seed down, but luckily pretty cheap, and it's doing really well. Clover does really well in all the spots the lawn doesn't do well in. So you see this is all clover here. I'll zoom in for you. So you can see that the lawn was not growing here. So you can see another spot. I need to put some seed over there. And the clover is thriving. So it'll take over and kind of fill in all those spots that the lawn does not thrive in. So that's great. My drip irrigation system is not working properly in my raised garden bed. So I'm just gonna give these plants some water here because they're not getting watered unless I water them. So this is my green bell pepper, doing real well. It had some blossom end rot, so I did have to feed it a little bit more, and it's doing much better now. So this one also had blossom end rot, so I think the soil, I didn't give it enough. I didn't feed it enough, you know, last year, so there was like no nutrients in it. A couple of jalapeno plants over here. Okay, my parsley is over here. Try not to get right on top of it here. And then I've got another tomato plant over here, which has not been doing great. It had whitefly and spider mites. And pretty much just all the bugs were attacking it. So although it had the right nutrients, it did not do that great. So I had to give it quite a haircut, and now twice a day I spray it with a stream of water to try to deter those white flies from coming back. So yeah, it's been pruned quite a bit. So it used to be very large. Now it's kind of sad, but it is recovering. So I'm happy about that. Oh, Penny wants to play. Get it, girl. You get that. You get it. Oh, here comes Barnaby. Temperatures are supposed to get really hot over the next couple of days. So I'm going to try to clean up the yard today and just have things kind of neat and organized out here so I don't have to worry about it while it's over 100 this week. Tidying up the backyard is definitely one of my favorite things to do. It's very therapeutic for me. This is my happy space, and I like to keep it just sort of serene and peaceful. We just had a party, so it's definitely a huge mess. If I leave the toys on the lawn turns yellow and it just starts to look pretty yucky. So getting it all nice and clean and tidy really does a lot for my mental health. And the next time I come out with the kids, I'm not going to be super stressed out about stuff being everywhere. Okay, over on this side of the yard is my very happy zucchini. I still have powdery mildew over here, you can see on the leaves. So that's powdery mildew, and then this one back here has a lot of powdery mildew. So I do need to trim up the plant a little bit more. But you can see it's got a zucchini that's about ready today or tomorrow. I may come out in the morning when it's nice and plump and get that picked, and that way I can cook it up for dinner. In this corner, I have the bird's eye chili, which is almost as tall as the wall there. And actually the mockingbirds and other birds actually ate all of the peppers off of that, which is fine because there's like hundreds of peppers, and this is actually a volunteer plant. I found it in the front yard last year. It was like super tiny, planted it right there, and boom, just went crazy. So it obviously loves it here, so we'll just leave it and kind of let the birds have at it. And if I need some hot peppers, I can grab them. Down below, I have some habanero chilies there, and then this is my carrots from last year. I left several in the ground to go to seed, and the flowers start like this here, and then they dry out and become the seeds. So in this one you can see the seeds really well. So in this one you can see the seeds there. Once it's all dried up, then I can pull this off and basically rub all the seeds together till they come off and then plant them in the ground. And so over here, pretty much along most of the planter, I've planted some of those carrot seeds, and you can see that they germinated nicely. I do have to thin them at this point. And over here I have some more of that clover, trying to fill in the spaces here where the dogs dug, and the spots that are a little bit more shaded. You drawing? Good job. I'm so excited for these bell peppers because bell peppers here cost anywhere from $1.50 to $2 or more each. So having these bell pepper plants is actually really exciting. So this one looks like it may have some blossom end rot on it, so I'll have to pick that one and maybe feed this plant a little bit more today. Okay, so it is over 90 now. It's about 11:45. So we decided to come in, have a popsicle break, and now I'm just gonna work on a few dishes. Yeah, you got your popsicle. And just get things cleared in the kitchen here. Got my little harvest, my one tomato. We pick the tomatoes when they're just starting to turn orange and red, and then let them finish ripening on the counter. So you can see this is one that's been ripening on the counter. Started off green like this one with a little bit of orange red, and then this one. See, this looks like it might be like a little bit of blossom end rot, but it's not too bad. And I think I might see if I can just cut it off and then eat it. And this is one of the tiny ones from that sad little tomato plant outside. Oh man, I don't know what's going on. It's got little splotches too, so I think maybe it had some sort of nutrient deficiency too. Alexa, tell Moen to heat the water for washing dishes.
Water will stop once it reaches 120 degrees.
Okay, I had to show you that feature on my Echo Show. I have it in my kitchen and I absolutely love it. And I have this automated sort of Wi-Fi connect Moen or something like that. But I can ask it to pour a certain amount of water for me to get the water ready for hand washing for the kids, and it gets us the right temperature. I love it. After I'm done washing the dishes, I do like to do a quick deep clean, get all of those nasty stuck on pieces of food out of there. I just spray it with disinfectant and then give it a good scrub with this little bristle brush, and that usually takes care of it. Sometimes to clean the inside of my drains, I like to use some baking soda. Just about maybe a quarter cup, and I'll put that down the drains. Let that sit for just a little while, maybe 10 minutes. And then I will turn on the garbage disposal and let that kind of get dispersed. So let me do that. All right, now that it's been a few minutes, I am going to turn on the blades and pour my white vinegar down the drain. So that loosened everything up, and now we can grab a scrub brush like this. That's already got some food stuck in it. Okay, so now we're gonna grab our scrub brush, and now we're gonna give it a good scrubbing on the other side, because for whatever reason this rubber piece is not removable on my sink, but it is removable in most people's sinks. So instead, since it's not removable here, I'm just scrubbing the underside here. Now I'll give it a nice scrub inside. I'll pour some nice hot water down. And I personally always like to disinfect my scrub brushes after I use them. Just spray them with disinfectant and then let it air dry after that. Next on my list is to get the kitchen wiped down, tidied up a little bit, and then I'll do a quick bathroom sanitize. The kitchen is another one of those places that just really feels great once it's all clean and tidy, especially after I have company. I just like to get everything back to normal. And the kitchen does not stay clean for very long. I mean, literally an hour or two, because then I start cooking dinner and just stuff splashes everywhere, and, you know, crumbs are again all over the counter. But it feels really good to have it done. So I do like to give it a good spray and wipe the crumbs in a specific fashion, as you can see, and then shine it after that. So just to me, this is another one of those things that's for my mental health, having it nice and clean and tidy and decluttered. I like to keep it as clean as possible, but I mean, mom life, it just does not last very long. So a nice, pretty kitchen to relax in with a cup of coffee, that's the dream. Oh, look, I'm checking for crumbs. With these countertops, you cannot see the crumbs unless you get down on the level of the counter and look. It is just so funny. Anywho, gonna clean the stove just a little bit before I wreck it by cooking dinner. Let's be real. Okay, and now I've got to put away some dishes that my mother-in-law cleaned for me. She's so sweet. And I'm gonna put all of these dishes away and get ready to cook my zucchini lasagna in a little while. One of the chores that I do want to get to soon is decluttering my kitchen. I have a lot of things that I just don't use, and I got rid of a lot of things recently when we moved in 2 years ago, but I just feel like there's still a lot of stuff that I could get rid of. So that might be in a video coming up soon, just going through my cabinets and my drawers in my kitchen and figuring out what I do need and don't need. I just really want to live a little bit more simpler and with less clutter. It just clutters my brain when there's so much stuff. So I feel like that should be on the list for the next couple of weeks, but probably before Christmas. All done. Look how sparkly. Okay, now that the kitchen is clean, I can make us a little bit of lunch before we go pick up Lily from school. Let's see what we're gonna make. Okay, I have a ton of leftovers from when company came and for my son's 3rd birthday. We ordered some Chick-fil-A catering, so I have a few Chick-fil-A nuggets, just a few. Okay, so for my son, I found that cutting things into fun shapes helps him eat a little bit more regular food. He's your typical toddler, I would say, the ones that you hear about that are picky. That's my son. My daughter will pretty much eat anything, so this is definitely a new challenge for me. So I'm just gonna get a couple slices of cheese, and I've got our little Mickey shape. And now I'm just gonna slice that there. Little nuggets are ready. So now we've got a Mickey shaped cheddar slice and a Mickey provolone. All right, so let's put those on the plate. And sometimes I like to roll up the meats, and sometimes we don't do lunch meats that often, but when we do, I like to make them a little more interesting. Let's do a Mickey shape. And let's put some leftover veggies. Got the nuggets here, and I would love to make my own ketchup soon, but for now, we'll just go with Heinz. And this is what my son is gonna have for lunch today. So for me, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. So from the party, I have some leftover sliced cheddar that I sliced myself for the charcuterie boards. So I'm gonna give myself some of that cheese. I like these balsamic vinegar and basil Triscuits. Then some leftover veggies too. So some carrots, some cucumber. Good? Okay, so now mine's kind of like a charcuterie tray for lunch. This is what we like to do a lot for lunch because it's simple. I can just use what I have in the fridge, use it all up, and it's a really nice, tasty lunch. Now we're out getting some groceries, and we'll be heading home right after that. This is what we got at the grocery store today. And now I'm going to separate this ground beef. So one of my favorite ways to save money is to buy meat when it's on sale in bulk, and then use my food saver to freeze it so it doesn't get any freezer burn. So first I like to cut the bags so they're about the right size for a pound of meat, and then I'll do all the sealing after that, then the filling, and the rest of the sealing again. If you like to budget or buy things in bulk, I highly recommend a food saver. So I got about 8 pounds of ground beef. So I got 8 bags set here for me. Now we're just gonna seal the bags before we fill them. So now that I've got my spatula and I've got a knife, I'm going to divide up the ground beef evenly into 1 pound pieces so it's easier to keep track and get them separated. Takes a little bit more effort, a little time, but it is worth the money savings. This was $2.47 a pound, and at the warehouse store at Costco, it's $3.99 a pound normally, and at the grocery store, lately it's been $5.99 a pound. So definitely worth the money to do it myself here. Having the food saver has really made a huge difference in the way that I bulk buy, and I am not afraid of anything getting freezer burnt anymore. So it's a total game changer. Now I like to flatten it into a nice little brick. So when I go to freeze it and thaw it out, it'll be a lot faster thawing time. Here, on this side, bud, on this side. Good job, watch it go. Okay. Every week I do meal planning, and I do it based off the weekly ad for our local grocery store, the one that's closest to us. And I don't generally buy things when they're not on sale. So that includes snack items, meats, all of the things. So I am going to start putting in the videos how I shop the weekly ad and how I'm able to generally keep our grocery bill under about $100 a week. We do go to Costco once or twice a month to buy TP, paper towels, organic produce, meats, and things like that. All right, now I've got 8 evenly portioned out, about 1 pound portions of ground beef. That didn't take long at all, just a few minutes. Now I'm just going to label each one with the date and the contents so I can remember when I sealed them. All labeled. Now let's get these in the freezer. Okay, so now it's time to cook dinner, and I'm gonna go outside and pick our zucchini. I have one in the fridge, and I'm gonna make zucchini lasagna. Let's get this zucchini. Okay, here we go. So before I get started on my zucchini lasagna, I do have to cook up some corn before it goes bad, and then that way I can decide to freeze it, or we can eat it tomorrow. First, we'll chop the zucchini ends off and then slice each piece into lengthwise strips, about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. It just depends on how thick you would like to have your zucchini. And you're going to be making 3 layers, so make sure you have plenty of slices. I recommend 2 to 3 zucchinis. Let's get this corn out of the way. Next, we're going to be chopping some fresh parsley that I got from the garden. I like to keep the parsley stems later for a nice vegetable stock. So I'm just going to be gently chopping this to add this to the ricotta mixture that I'll show you in just a moment. Next, we're going to grab a medium mixing bowl and add 15 ounces of ricotta cheese. It doesn't matter if it's skim or whole milk, whichever you prefer. Then we'll add some Parmesan cheese. I do prefer Parmesan Reggiano, but you can use the already shredded stuff if you like. Then add 1 egg, that parsley that you chopped just a moment ago, and then you'll season to taste with salt and pepper. Maybe just about 1/4 teaspoon or so of each would do just fine. Then we'll blend it until it's completely fully mixed. Next, we're going to brown our ground beef or ground turkey, whichever you prefer, making sure that it gets a really nice golden brown on each side before we go breaking up the meat. Then we're going to break up the meat as much as you like. Some people like big chunks, some like it really small. So it's really your personal preference. We're going to cook it all the way through and then remove the grease if it is ground beef. I like to use a paper towel in this instance, but you can definitely strain it into a can. Just make sure you don't put that grease down the sink. Get that all removed. And on to the sauce. You can just use jarred sauce if that's all you have, or you can make it homemade with fresh tomatoes. Get all that sauce in there, and then we're just going to mix it, bring it to a boil, and let that simmer while we get everything set up. Maybe about 5 minutes of a simmer, not too long. If you don't have sauce on hand, you could use crushed tomatoes or fresh tomatoes and season it with Italian seasoning, salt and pepper, and then just simmer it for longer to make sure it's reduced to a nice thickness. Next, we'll get a 9x13 pan, and we're going to scoop some sauce on the bottom, maybe about 1 cup or so, and just spread that so that way we don't have any sticking on the bottom. After that, we'll layer our zucchini, making sure that we overlap it, maybe just about 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. Just depends on how much overlapping that you would like. It's really personal preference and how much zucchini that you have on hand. So you can really stretch it, or you can overlap it quite a bit. It's totally up to you. Next, we'll take half of the ricotta mixture and place it over the zucchini, spreading it to cover as much as possible. It can be a little bit tricky since zucchini is very heavy on the water. Next, we'll scoop half of the sauce over it and making sure that it's fully covered as well. A little bit of mozzarella cheese, and then we're just going to continue to do the layers again. So again, start with the zucchini, put the other half of the ricotta cheese mixture and make sure you try to cover it as much as possible. Then you'll use the other half of the sauce, cover that, and spread it out as much as possible to cover almost all of the zucchini bits that you can see. Then shredded mozzarella, and then you'll put the last layer of zucchini, and this time just top it with shredded mozzarella. I also add a little bit of Parmesan cheese for that golden texture on the top. Now we're going to bake it at 400 degrees for about 40 to 50 minutes, just until it's nice and golden brown and bubbly and the zucchini is cooked through. Let's have a look. Oh my goodness, look at how bubbly it is. I'm telling you, this is as good or better than regular lasagna. Once it comes out of the oven, we're going to let it rest for about 10 minutes. It does need to set just like regular lasagna. I cut it a bit early, and so it did fall apart. We were really hungry. So just make sure you give yourself time to let it set for about 10 minutes before you cut into it. I like to slice it just like regular lasagna into nice big pieces. I like to garnish with fresh basil leaves. It adds a really nice freshness to the dish. So good. And there you have it. A nice, balanced, and delicious dinner. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time.